Hello and welcome to Wehry Dads. I'm your host, Pt. Wehry, with my co-host.
Dad, I'm here. I'm ready to roll. And today's episode is brought to you by Statler Highlighters. And the reason that...
Wow, your southern accent came out. Highlighters.
let me tell you, the reason that the Statler Highlighters should support us is I use a lot of them. Everybody knows me. I've been known to be called Captain Highlighter.
That was your first job as a youth pastor. Almost coffee. It would have been epic.
Really good. But, I mean, that's just how I do things.
Yes,
and
yes.
So, anyhow.
Wow, that one only has orange in it. I'm kind of impressed. Normally you have like 3 or 4
We're going
types.
with orange today. I have gone with other colors in the past. So exciting, Statlers.
You use as many colors in a highlighter as that one girl in every college class who takes great notes but doesn't do well in the class.
Is there a correlation?
All right. Today, though, we wanted to talk about, for the next, I think, 4 parts.
Yeah.
We're talking about John Wooden's 7 principles, proverbs he got from his dad.
Yeah, everybody, as soon as you say John Wooden's, they might even think we're going to do his Pyramid of Success.
Right.
You actually hesitated. No, it's 7 axioms or principles that his dad gave him on a piece of paper when he was getting ready to go out on his own. And too much away. Okay, this is really, to me, this could be really special. And honestly, there is a lot of spiritual correlation here. Clearly a lot of mentoring.
Yeah.
And always about him being a better man. So I think this is really going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We can also, there's a tie-in to previous times we talked about deep and wide, and we talked about, replacing decision with principles, and we talked about different types of principles. Mm-hmm. These, to me, most of them, if not all of them, fall under proverbs. They're just useful. They're not hard and fast rules, but they open up possibilities for doing the right thing, for growing in good ways
incessantly.
Yeah. So the first one is be true to yourself.
Okay. So what did you think when you read that? What do you think? Be true to yourself. I know what I go to. For me, it's an affirmation of your gifting. Right. Okay.
There's that really corny story, but I mean, it works. Son, I want you to take this old car, and you take it to the used car salesman. He takes it to the used car salesman and asks him how much you can get for it. Gets $2,000. He's like, all right, take it to. He's like, don't sell it. Take it to a car collector. Like a Facebook group for car collectors, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's getting offers for like $100,000. And it's like, go. He's like. Obviously in that case, I think, the actual money doesn't matter. His point is go where you're valued.
Okay. That's interesting because when it says be true to yourself, I right away go, I wonder if he's just saying keep integrity, be true to who you are and what we've taught you, integrity. And I think
I have that too, by the way. That's why I think it's proverbial. It can go out in different ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's a really good thought right there because he's saying, son, be true to who you are, what we've taught you.
Yes.
And I think there are so many scriptural ideas here where in the book of Proverbs, it talks about the imperative concept of integrity, doing the right thing, doing it the right way, but be, and the standard, be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Carry yours a little farther.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and there's a way that the two of these tie together, and I think it's through the image of God, right?
Okay.
So, and I don't know even how this came up in kind of my spirit, in my kind of daily self-talk, but I've been thinking about Socrates literally accepting harm to himself rather than harm to his body, rather than harm to his character, right? And for the Christian, that comes from like we have the image of God in us, and we are staying true to ourselves. The image of God is what makes us unique and special and worthy, and what makes us beloved, really. And so that that allows us to look at us and say we are a unique and valuable individual, even as we look at our place in community. And so we look at things like gifting, but we also look at things like, I am not going to violate myself. I'm not going to violate the image of God in myself by harming really others. Good. So it kind of connects the both of them. And, and it's heavy stuff when you really think about it, but it's so good to think about that the image of God in me is something so precious that how could I sin and damage it?
Okay,
Right?
so really interesting because in the news, there's a young lady that just took her life. This is not even fun to even talk about. Women's soccer player at Stanford. I don't even want to talk about it because in any way would I want anyone to think I'm uplifting that family in prayer and that young lady and the scenario. But a lot of challenges that young people face today are pressures and esteem issues. And when you reminded that God esteem, that God is our rock and our refuge, and He created us, and just what you said, you're made in the image of God, then you're reminded that I'm God's and I'm okay, no matter where. And there's so many pressures today, false pressures, aka media pressures. And might I add, not even social media, they're just media pressures. Okay. Then there is the social medias. Nobody puts the picture up of the, of my wife and I disagreeing. They got a picture of the two of us sitting on a boat, going through a lake, and it's beautiful out.
It's been great, and the best is yet to be. Yeah.
Right. But all of this comes down to all these outside dreams, but it's God esteem. I am a child of God. I think it's really good. And I think his dad, knowing the Wooden family, would say, you are a child of God. Be true to him. Be true to yourself, because you are made in his image.
And I love that you brought that up. It's a serious issue. To anyone listening, you are worthy. You are worthwhile. If you're struggling with that, find help.
Get now.
Feel free to reach out to us. Seriously, that's important.
Right now.
And then, it's funny because on the other side, there's the pressures thing, which is real. For me, it's funny how I went and struggled with thoughts like that, and I didn't even know why, and find out later that I was just really sick from what I was eating.
Yeah.
Right? And I was chronically fatigued, and I was just talking to somebody who's 8 months pregnant, almost 9. Oh, actually 9 months pregnant. Like, she's about to have a baby, and she's like, I'd never realized like this pregnancy's been particularly difficult. She's just always tired, and I remember that feeling. I'd forgotten. She's like, and it just feels awful. When I was struggling with that, I was literally just like, I just wanted to stop. And it wasn't, and that's why I think a lot of times it's just like, you look at it, it wasn't that I didn't enjoy life and stuff like that. I was just so tired. And so that's, normally that's a signal that there's something that needs to change, right? But also just like, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Somebody will care.
Yes.
Right? You might not be in your immediate circle, but there's somebody.
That's good. That's good. So be true to yourself. That's a great axiom to give as a dad to a son. Hey, remember what you've been taught. Remember who you are. Remember whose you are, and be true to yourself.
Yeah, and I think there's something even tied into the idea of roots there, right? Just that, like, there are things from my past and from my heritage that are unhealthy. But what I have done instead of just like saying, I don't want any of my heritage, I have pruned those things, and I have dug deeper and found, like, there's some problems with American Christianity, but by digging deeper into Christianity, I was able to find healthy roots, deep roots. Same thing with our family. There's problems in our family, but there's a lot of really good things.
Right. Well, finding out that, mom's adopted and I'm a different scenario, broken home, and much more. But the reconciliation by Christ, and then thus I am a child of God. Be true to yourself. Be true to his calling. So
it's really good.
Second one.
Help others.
Yeah, this is pretty simple. This is Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. There's just this craving, this need. Look not every man on his own things, but also on the things of others. It is a crying need in life, family, and even in society today. Not what can I get, but what can I give? And I always used to joke, there's givers out there and takers. Don't be a taker. Well, you could say that, but I can remember there are certain people when you worked with them that, man, all they wanted to do was give, and they would serve and serve.
Yeah.
And you really had such a great respect for those people, and you're like, they're different. They follow through. And he's saying to his son, literally help others, serve, and look for ways to help others. Really important.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go with this.
Sure.
It's really, really good. I think of Henry Nouwen. That was I
Nouwen.
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 Yeah, Henry
Yeah.
Nouwen, Nouwen, the wounded healer. And that's really good.
Yeah,
right?
tell us why it's really good, because
Well,
there's some listener out there going,
yeah,
I don't know what the wounded healer
well,
is.
it's just right in the name, right? Like I think about this. He gives good advice in other books about how you need to make sure that your home fires are burning bright before you help others, right? Like,
right.
But the other thing is, and I actually just talked to my good friend Andy on Chasing the Leviathan about this. We have this desire to be whole, but we also have to recognize that we will never be whole in this life,
Right.
right? Like I lost a tooth, cracked it, and had it removed, and there's different things they can do about that, but I'm never gonna get that tooth back.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's gonna be the rest of my life.
Gone, folks. We're not gonna. This isn't a West Virginia podcast, although I'd like to show you that. Go.
Yeah, but so the idea that you want to make sure that you're healthy enough to be able to help people, right? Like, I mean, sometimes you can enter a situation and make it worse because you're not in a good state,
right?
But also being like, well, I'll help when I have everything fixed, and it's like, no,
you'll never
be
fixed.
Yeah, you just help others, right? Like you look at it, and what I put down, and you started with this: keep it simple, right? Something that's been really helpful for me, and I'm a very sensitive person, always have been since. I mean, it's obviously I've matured in that, but when I was a kid, I remember I was just like I cried for like 3 days straight, like about kids in Africa with the AIDS epidemic and starvation, right? And I realized I was like, 11 or 12 at the time. I was like, I can't cry about this every day, or I won't be able to get anything done. And that's not have any sympathy for
right.
Kids in Africa or kids in Yemen, a big thing. Kids in Ukraine, stuff like that. But there will always be problems in the world. It's so large, so you cannot allow that to consume your mind all the time, or you're no good. There's some people right now, and this is not the majority. This is not like this is more an illustration of how this works, right? There are always people who are looking for the next cause. So there are some people who have looked at Ukraine and allowed that to consume themselves, and they send a lot of well wishes on social, and they are the meanest people to the people around them. And it's like, well, you're not actually helping the people. The people in Ukraine don't care about your Twitter, like. And what are you doing for those around you?
Well, where can you make a difference? Be where you are, make a difference there. And, yesterday in church, a lady got up who's got connections to Ukraine. And she's got those connections.
Right.
And by the way, I don't think PJ's saying, although if he did, I could get it too. Don't post about the Ukraine that I'm praying for. But what he is saying is,
right.
And this is really where the rubber meets the road. And this is what, help others where you are at. Right where you are at, do good. That is what the Bible says. Do good. Look for ways to serve people right now.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is you won't be here in a month. You'll be somewhere else. You were just in Chicago.
Yeah.
Just had somebody ask me, hey, were you in Chicago? And I realized now they were thinking of you. And I went, no, I was in New York City. and that even folks right there.
Yeah.
I was in New York City, honestly, trying to help some people.
Yeah.
When we're gone, when we're in different places, it doesn't matter whether we're in our area of Florida or whether we're in Illinois or whether we're in New York or the Ukraine, do good.
Yes.
Love others. That's why I love this is, he says help.
Yeah.
Love God, love others.
Right.
If you love people, what will you do? You'll help them if they have a need.
Absolutely. And I think that's my solution when I was a kid was I looked at the story of the Good Samaritan, and it's the guy lying on the side of the road, right? And so people listening, it's like, oh, it's a geographical thing, right? Like, no, I traveled to Chicago because I had connections there. Right. You traveled to New York because you had connections there. It's how can you best use your resources, because you can only do so much, right?
Yep.
And so not allowing, I mean, C.S. Lewis has a good thing on this, where it's like we love to put our love into the fantasy realm and our hate into into our will.
That's
and the way we
such a powerful statement.
like all around us, like we'll scream at our spouse or our kids, and then we'll be like, oh, they should just forgive those people. And it's like, yeah. And so when you look at help others, the guiding principle for me has always been make sure that if everybody just took care of what's around them first, man, we would go a long way. And if that makes sense.
Very much so. So you didn't know, I just got done reading about diversity in the church and Christianity, and that Christianity, quote unquote, is not diverse. And yet, if you look at Christianity, this is crazy.
Right.
Like Christianity in the States is nowhere near as fluid and moving as it is in China and so forth. And actually, I was just sharing this with your mom this morning, and respectfully, in India, there's a caste system still.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And literally they say daily in the news, someone is being tortured or murdered because they rode a bike or they wore sandals, and they're not able to be by the caste system.
Yeah.
Here's what the point is. Wherever you are, there's Christianity all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we love the fact that you just said it. This kid in a foreign country that has needs. Yes, we can try to help. We can help. But there's a guy down the street that has a need. And and probably the best example of this is your mother. Every time she sees somebody in need, she wants to stop. And that is a challenge for me, because I got to get somewhere to help her. So folks, what I love is that John Wooden's dad had the foresight to say to him, listen, man, I don't know if he said, listen, man.
Yeah.
Help others.
Hey, can I add one more thing?
Please, of course.
And I don't agree with him on everything, but I love his critiques. And his name is Zizek, or I don't know how to say his last name, but he's a Marxist philosopher.
Okay, great.
And so good times. But he has this. I think that he makes a really important point here. He said one of the things we like to do is we like to wrap up our money in ways to even absolve our guilt even as we spend it. So like Starbucks, he's like, it's literally part of the product. They're like, 5% of this goes to proceeds overseas. And he's like, what you're actually doing is you're spending $6 on a coffee, and that's too much. And you're like, oh, but it's going to a good cause. And so don't help people so that it can make you feel better. So it's what you said about the guy down the street.
Yes.
This is the big thing. Why don't we help the guy down the street, but we're happy to give money overseas?
We don't know that person, and
there's no time commitment. There's no energy commitment. There's no
like that circle of I don't like the way that guy does things, so I'm not helping him.
So and if you deal with the guy down the street, then you have to see him, and there's obligations there. Right. Whereas and that's not to say if you want to give money overseas, great, but this is something I like to challenge people on. Make sure that you keep up with it. Don't just send it over to make yourself feel good, and people do that. It's built into a lot of our systems.
So I'm not sure when Wooden wrote these, he was going as deep as we are. But the good thing about this, folks, is it makes us all think. And here's the truth. We are given a clear declaration by God to serve others, to help others, to give. And here Wooden's telling his son, listen, you got to be true to yourself and listen, help others. Yeah. Those are his first two axioms. Really helpful.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Amen. We're going to hit 2 more on the next episode. A little bit shorter, folks, but we're getting a lot of these in, and we're looking forward to seeing where they go.
If you took another step on your personal journey today, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
It'd be awesome. Help others.
Love you.